So for today's practice, instead of laying down on your back, you're gonna start to bring yourself onto your belly. Take your feet nice and wide so they can be about mat width distance. Heels might drop in or might drop out. And then take your hands one on top of another, and you can just allow your forehead to rest onto your hands. If that isn't comfortable for you, you can always take a pillow underneath your cheek as well and take either cheek to your mat and palms face up down beside you. So you might have to settle in, you might need to shift side to side, you might need to take your elbows out wider, you might need to change whether it's your forehead or your cheek to the mat. And then allow the darkness of closed eyes, of tucking your head maybe in between your hands, to offer you a space to just unwind into. So every time that we come to our yoga mat is truly a new beginning. And beginnings, how we show up here within this practice, can be delicate or they can be explosive. They can start almost invisibly or they can arrive with a big bang. So just check in with how you landed on your mat today. Notice if it was a seamless transition or a little bit jerky. And just start to honor how you've landed. Beginnings hold the promise of new lessons to be learned, new territory to be explored, and old lessons sometimes to even just be recalled, practiced, appreciated. Beginnings hold ambiguity, promise, fear, and hope. And so as you land on your mat today, don't let the lessons or experiences of the past dampen your enthusiasm for this new beginning. Even if it's hard, it doesn't mean that it will always be this difficult. Don't allow any heartbreaks of the past to cause you to be cynical here, to close you off to life's magic and promise. As you start your practice today, just open yourself wide to all that the universe has to say and all that your practice has to offer you. Take a big, deep inhale breath through your nose. And then exhale breath, completely let go. Inhale breath through your nose. Feel your chest and belly press into the floor. And then exhale out through your mouth. Let your body rest heavier. Take one more cleansing breath together. Inhale all the way down to your belly button. And exhale, cool rinse up your spine. Allow yourself the space to start anew. Pack your bags for this journey of the next hour. Choose carefully what you want to bring. Packing is a really important ritual. And so I hope for today's practice, you take along some humility, you pack some lessons from the past times that you've landed on your mat. Toss in maybe some curiosity or excitement about your own body or what you could possibly learn. Say goodbyes to anything you need to leave behind through this practice. The way of this journey has been prepared, and I am here to hold space for you and guide you throughout. This new journey has begun. And so all that I ask is you allow it the space to unfold, to not have to know where you're going or why you're going there, but just simply take this breath by breath. All of the parts of this journey are sacred. So let's take some time to honor the beginning, where we learn to let go before we take our next step forward. As we close off this time on our bellies, just bring a little bit more awareness to your breath, a little bit more awareness to what it is to land in this moment and release whatever happened today, 5 minutes ago, this week. And reset with each inhale breath that you take. And let go with each exhale breath that allows you to just sink into that moment. And you can just be in this beautiful rhythm of refreshing and releasing. You can keep the position of your body, but just start to bring in some gentle movement. So you'll gently rock your hips side to side. You might feel your right hip bone roll into the mat and then your left. Feel this movement at the base of your spine. And as you get more comfortable with this movement and feel a release into your back, you can allow that release to travel up your spine, beginning to soften into your mid-back, maybe between your shoulder blades, all the way up towards your neck. And then gently bring your hips back to stillness. If you have either cheek to your mat, just bring your chin down towards your mat. And then slowly start to walk yourself up onto your forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. So in Sphinx pose, your shoulders land over top of your elbows, and elbows and fingertips both line up with your shoulders. So you create these 90-degree bends with your arms. Now, if this feels too tight in the low back, simply walk your hands forward so that they're ahead of your shoulders. Rather than taking the arms back will be a lot more work. We're looking for less, so that your physical structure of your skeleton is stacking and your muscles can release. Wherever you've landed, we're going to bring in a little bit of movement of head and neck. Gently tilt your chin towards your chest and just allow your head to hang heavy. Now, if you want to bring in any movement of your head, you can gently just start to rock your head in little mini quarter circles, maybe half circles. Navigate any of the tension that's showing up in the back of your neck and shoulders by really slowly guiding yourself through. So when you come up against a sticky spot, try not to force, but just pause, maybe hold for a moment and then release. Almost like you're just slowly easing your body open. You might notice after some time in this pose that there's room for you to move deeper, to maybe tilt one ear over to your shoulder, and then the opposite. Maybe you allow your head to hang heavier. Let's just take a couple more breaths with movement. Whatever feels nurturing for your body. There's no specific way you have to move through this. way back to center the next time your chin draws there, and pause. Slight tuck of your chin towards your chest, so the back of your head and neck are long. Make sure that you're not crunching your chin up and bending into the back of your neck, or you're not holding your head heavy. Your head becomes an extension of your spine. And then bring your attention to your feet, calves, back of your thighs, hamstrings, and glutes. And see if you can just soften into all of these muscles. You relax into the back side of your body and just sink into your skeleton. Almost like your muscles are just melting away from your bones. And just as we did at the start of our practice together, can you feel that gentle rise and fall of your breath flowing down into your belly as it presses into the earth on an inhale and hollows out on an exhale? Maybe hip bones sink deeper. Can you carve out just a little bit more room for yourself to be in this shape, knowing that each new breath can also be a new beginning anytime we've gotten stuck, tense, frustrated, attached. Gently begin to lower yourself towards the earth as you walk your elbows out wide so they point towards the edges of your mat. Forehead or cheek can rest into your hands. Pick up your feet so that you bend your knees, heels towards the ceiling, and just drop your feet to the right and over to the left, moving side to side. The next time that your heels come up through center, gently release the tops of your feet down. Walk your big toes together to touch. And then place your chin towards your mat, hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up, peeling away from the ground. Walk your knees wide and sink your hips back towards child's pose. Now, if this pose feels too deep in your knees, you can always place pillows behind your knees to sit your hamstrings on top of. If it feels too deep for your upper body, grab a bolster, grab some pillows to lay your chest and maybe your cheek and belly on. If you're comfortable without props in this pose, you can just gently walk your fingertips forward. We started practice with awareness to our breath and our belly and our front side. Begin to transition this awareness now to the back side of your body. As you inhale, can you feel the back of your rib cage expand out to the left and to the right? And as you exhale, can you feel your ribcage softly move back towards center? And you can move down the spine, starting with maybe your mid-back, and slowly using this movement out and back in. This ebb and flow to move all the way down towards your lower back and those two bones at the base of your spine, often where you'll see dimples in the body. Right by the sacrum, the fused bones underneath the lumbar spine. And just imagine that they're moving out to the left and right as you breathe in opposite directions of one another. And as you breathe out, just settling back closer to center. So creating a whole lot of space in your lower back. Child's pose is a really beautiful opportunity to release the muscles that get stuck, that connect into the hips and the low back. And so really just allowing your attention to land here for a moment. And through mindful awareness, just softening into those muscles and attachments. Sending the emphasis of your breath to create more space as you breathe in, and then to just simply let go as you breathe out. Maybe you sink a little bit deeper with each exhale. Whenever you find your mind start to wander, you notice yourself getting drawn out of the present moment. Start your journey all over again. A new beginning to bring in whatever you need with this next breath. I always like to think of the inhales as a place to gather what we need, to gather what we're missing, to gather our own strength, confidence, love, and peace. And the exhales where we let go of what isn't serving us. And so maybe for these last few breaths of your child's pose, you just find yourself in this beautiful rhythm of gathering what you need and then letting go of what you don't. Gathering in and breathing in your words, and then letting go of anything that's not serving you. Almost like you're taking a big drink of water as you inhale. And then exhale, soften into your entire body. Let's take one more full breath. Just like that. And then slowly start to peel yourself away from your mat. Hips lift from your heels. Knees walk in underneath your hips. A few moments here just to move. So that might look like shifting your hips to the left and to the right, looking over the opposite shoulder. Might feel good to tuck your toes and sink your hips back and forward. You can cat-cow your spine. If you spend a lot of time at a computer and wrists are a little tight, you might flip your fingertips to point back towards your knees and just play with shifting side to side or forward or back. Really just taking some nourishing movement for your body. If this looks like stillness, perfect. If this looks like movement, perfect as well. That these moments are not about finding a particular pose or to follow a particular pattern, but just to simply shift and rinse. When you're ready, turn yourself towards the long edge of your mat so that you can see the video or camera. If you need, you can always turn yourself to the short edge of your mat. And then extend your left leg out long. Sole of your right foot will come to plant to the inside of your left leg. Now, just check in with how your hips feel in this half butterfly or half dragonfly shape. You can always add in a block or pillow underneath your right knee or thigh if that takes some of the tension out of your right hip. And then begin to turn yourself to face your left leg. You can always just shift a little bit side to side. Make sure both of your sits bones are rooted, so there's a feeling of being supported by the earth beneath you. Hands can just come down to your mat, maybe even just fingertips. And as you inhale, press into the earth through your sits bones, through your fingertips. Begin to lengthen your spine up. Exhale, keep that length, but just soften your shoulders down your back. Let your elbows and hands draw heavier. One more full breath in to lengthen. And then exhale, begin to walk your hands down your leg as you hinge at your hips. Now this can be a fairly deep pose for the hamstrings and also for the right side of your body. So know that you can always grab props to the inside of your extended leg to rest your belly on or rest your cheek or forehead on. If that's not available, you can always take your elbows onto the mat or onto a prop so that your forehead can rest into your hands. Notice if you're just simply trying to round through the upper back and taking a lot of tension into your spine. Can you feel a little bit of that shoulders of rolling back and just keeping a longer spine? Chin can still tuck in towards your chest. And then allow your breath to once again travel the entire length of your spine. So not just breathing into your rib cage, but breathe all the way down towards the back of your right hip where you might be experiencing a little bit of tension. Let each breath be that new beginning that you need in that moment. What makes the meditation and yoga practice so challenging is that we're never continually moving up the hill. That we start to make some progress and then we get distracted and we fall out. And then we come back to it and we start to make more progress and then something happens and we shift. And so it really is this constant ebbing and flowing, just like waves of the ocean. That some moments we're so completely in it, and others we're distracted, dissociated, our mind is elsewhere. What this practice offers us is in those moments where we've checked out, where we've lost attention, is to let go of that initial reaction of judgment and to just simply take another breath. So much in this world can feel too heavy to move. It can feel too overwhelming to work through. It can feel too much to digest. And I think in those moments, we can come back to this practice, breath by breath. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know where you're going. You just simply need to breathe. And trust that whatever shows up along this journey, you have the tools to sit with that. Take 3 more breaths wherever you've landed. Maybe you just allow these breaths to be a little bit bigger, longer, really nurturing these last few moments in this shape. And take your time to come out of this fold. Walk your hands alongside your legs. Stack your vertebra one by one. If you have a block underneath your bent knee, just gently take that out. Plant your right hand beside your right hip of the leg that's bent. And as you press into your right hand, lift up onto your right shin and just reach your left fingertips over into this modification of a side plank. And then as you exhale, you're going to slowly turn yourself towards the side of your mat where your bent knee is, and then step yourself back into a downward facing dog. So it should feel nice for the spine to lengthen out, press into your hands, maybe you pedal out your feet. If down dog today feels too active, just come to a tabletop or child's pose and create any movements that you need there. From your downward facing dog, inhale breath, draw your right toes all the way up, bend into your right knee and stack into your hip. As you exhale, bring your right knee towards your right wrist, right ankle towards the left side of your mat, and slowly lower your shin down. Release your left knee towards the ground and untuck your left toes. And start to walk your hands up in towards your body for a swan, or what you might know as a pigeon pose. Okay, check in before you fold in this shape with the alignment of your hips. So if you feel like you're falling towards your front hip, just take your block and scoop it underneath or a pillow so your hips are square. Being upright will give you a deeper lengthening of your left hip that was just in a deep, deep, deep flexion. So you're welcome to stay upright for as long as you'd like, or you can start to fold belly, then heart, then head. As with any of these poses within our practice, we are welcome to add in props and blocks wherever there is a gap of our body and the earth. So you can always take pillows underneath your chest or your cheek or chin as well within this shape. Notice where you started the journey of this pose and whether you feel prepared or not to take that next breath. If it feels a little sticky, if it feels too deep, just come out of some of that depth, add in more props and pause. Allow your body to take you on this journey rather than your mind, your expectations, your judgments. Our bodies have this incredible wisdom of what they need, of what feels good. And so instead of trying to force from what we think we know, move from a place that your physical body truly, truly knows. And then allow your mind to follow your body. In those places where we start to attach labels of good and bad, can we simply learn to just sit? Your body naturally starts to unwind as you linger in the parasympathetic nervous system, as you pause in this rest and digest. we're essentially training our bodies in those moments that we normally would react, get frustrated, that we start to instead just breathe. We reset the behavior, the spirals. We offer ourselves a new beginning to that situation. And perhaps in this moment, you can offer yourself a new beginning to anything that hasn't gone according to plan. Anywhere that you haven't showed up as your best self. Anywhere that you need a moment to just pause and reset. Relax into your shoulders. Soften into the muscles of your face. Take a deep, full inhale breath through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. Let that go. Gently walk your hands back up and towards your body. Roll towards your front hip. And if you started facing the side of the mat, you'll end up at that same side. Take your feet out in front, bent knees, feet placed wide, and just gently drop your knees over to the left and over to the right. May even tilt your head back and create a juicy opening for your throat. And when you're ready, you'll shift your hands back in towards your hips. Shift over to your left hip and then start to extend your right leg out long. Left knee bends, left foot lands to the inside of your right leg for half dragonfly on the other side. Turn your shoulders so that they square with your hips, so that your heart is facing towards your right knee. Fingertips to the ground. Inhale, breath, rise tall through your spine, all the way up to the crown of your head. Exhale, root through your sits bones, drop your shoulders down your back. Take one more full inhale breath to find length. And as you exhale, begin to fold, keeping that length of your body. Use your blocks or props to support you in any spaces where it feels like you need to hold yourself up. So that may be on top of your right leg with a block. That could be the inside of your leg or just somewhere to rest your forearms or forehead. Notice if your left hip is wanting to lift away from the earth. Can you energetically root that hip down? Send your weight both towards your left hip and your right heel, keeping your body grounded and supported. Once you physically landed into this shape, can you just create space to simply be? We recently got a new puppy here at the house, and it's been total chaos. It's been a different type of beginning. And it's also been a reminder that we get these chances to start over. And right before this practice, I was really overwhelmed with the chaos of the day, and landing here on my mat, even in the role of a teacher, is a reminder that there's always an opportunity to just breathe, to let go of whatever happened 5 minutes ago or a year ago, and to just start fresh. To take what you need in that moment. For me, patience. For you, maybe trust or confidence, space, time, peace, love. Take that all in with your inhale. And then just soften into your physical body and physically let go with the exhale. Let go of any stress you've been carrying, any tension you've been storing. Folds themselves are really restorative in nature and are an opportunity for us to release and to melt in. So in these last few breaths of this fold, can you offer yourself space to simply be and start over whenever necessary? Taking any lessons from the past that you need, but also taking an excitement and curiosity for what that next breath holds. Walk your hands back up the length of your leg to slowly come to seated. Plant your left hand beside your left hip and lift up onto your shin. Sweep your right fingertips over and take a nice big stretch through your side body. And then as you exhale, you'll slowly turn to the other edge of your mat and step yourself back to a downward facing dog, or optional to tabletop if that feels better today. Pedal out your feet, picking up one heel at a time. Add in any movements that feel good. And then when you're ready, on an inhale breath, your right heel rises high. On an exhale, left foot rises high. On an exhale, left knee to left wrist and left ankle to the right side of your mat. Okay, untuck your back toes. Walk your hands up in towards your body. And just double check that you are on the other side of pigeon. It should be your left knee forward. Make sure your hips are square, and a good way to check this is if you rise your fingertips up, you're not falling to one side. Whatever side you're falling to, you can always add a prop to just hold you up in that place. And then when you're ready, you can start to fold. If possible, support the weight of your forehead so that all of these muscles along the back of your head and neck and shoulders can really relax and let your prop and the earth support you. always important as we move into this journey of a new pose, that we're starting the journey with a full tank. And so check in with your energy if you need to reset or you need to come slightly out of this depth. Just listen to that wisdom of your body so that halfway through we don't feel like giving up, that we're not fighting with our minds and fighting with our bodies to be in this practice. It's a really subtle line between feeling sensation and also staying present and letting go. And it really is just these tiny little baby steps along the way. Feel enough to stay present, but not so much that you want to check out or leave your physical body because it's uncomfortable. When you can feel both the discomfort and the ease and softening, it is this reminder that you are okay to be within both. That there's never fully black or fully white, but just these shades of gray. That we don't have to be these polar opposites, but that we can land ourselves somewhere in the middle, finding balance. That even here in your mat, beginnings and endings might be blurred. But that it's okay at the end of a breath to be in an ending, and in that next breath to start a new beginning. And that one ending might offer us insight for that next beginning. And so on and so forth, we follow this ebb and flow. Allow your physical body to release any tension that's been carrying. Allow your mind to release any words, thoughts, situations that feel heavy. And just finish this pose with 3 clear, nourishing breaths. After your 3rd breath, and slowly start to shift your hands and towards your hips. Move yourself over towards your front hip, your left hip, and then roll onto your seat, once again facing the side of your mat, and just gently drop your knees side to side. Because today we had requests for inner thighs, I'll offer 3 different options for this next pose. Option number 1 will be the least sensation, is butterfly. So you can bring the soles of your feet together. You can choose how close your heels come in. The closer your heels come in, typically the more sensation and opening. The further your heels are away from your body, a little bit more restorative. Know that you can always, as we did it in our half dragonfly, take blocks underneath your knees and just simply hinging and folding. Okay. We can work into full dragonfly, extending out both of our legs in an external rotation. Toes turn up to the ceiling, and you'll fold forward through center, belly, then heart, then head. Or those of you who want to go quite deep today and are feeling ready can play with coming into frog. So from this shape, make sure you have room for your knees to be on the mat. In tabletop, you'll walk your knees out wide. Flex your feet to support your knees so your big toe edge is on the ground. And then if you look from the side, your hips will line up with your knees. So make sure hips aren't forward or back. And then you can always add in any props that might support you in your frog for you to lay forward or for you to rest forearms on. Okay. If at any point you feel like you need to come out of that shape, you're welcome to shift to a neutral place and just pause and join in whenever you are ready. So kind of a choose your pose practice, which I think offers you to step into what your body needs and to let go of being told exactly what to do and to trust that you know within your heart what that next step is. Even if you don't know exactly how this pose will go, just trust what your body tells you breath by breath. This is not meant to be an easy pose, so be gentle with your body, knowing that we'll be here for about 3 minutes. That the goal isn't to get anywhere, but to simply be where you are. And if your physical sensation is bringing you out of the present moment, it's a good indication it's a little bit too deep. So start over as many times as you need to find the place where you just feel like you're at home, where you can unwind and settle in. This is the patience of the yin practice. When you do have to start over, let go of right and wrongs. Let go of good and bad, an expectation of how your practice was going to proceed. And imagine that you're just fluid like water. You're just shifting with the current, moving around the obstacles. That you're able to change form and shape, change rhythm and speed, change depth. That it's not about finding perfection and trying to hold it all together, but moment by moment building and collapsing, and building and collapsing. Our ability to shift and to be in flex. Your breath is a reminder of this rhythm. So if ever you get stuck, just come back to your breath. Take 3 more breaths wherever you are. If you folded, you'll just simply start to walk your hands in towards your body to come up to seated. If you are in frog, I like to move forward onto my belly and then slowly draw knees and heels together, or you can sit back into a child's pose. From whatever pose you're in, start to draw your knees in close, and you can windshield wiper on your belly, or you can windshield wiper on your seat. Use the next few breaths to transition yourselves onto your back. And if you want props for these last couple of poses, bring them over towards your right hand side. And you'll slowly lower yourself down. Check in with your body and what it needs here. It might need knees in towards your chest, or it might just need a giant stretch. Any movement is welcome. We'll close off with a couple of twists. Plant into your feet and shift your hips up and over to the left. Well, I always like to add in props. You can always bring a pillow in between your legs or a pillow over to the right. Lift your knees up and then slowly lower them over towards the right side of your mat. Now you can take a couple of different options. Right hand can always place on top of your left knee or thigh if that's more comfortable. You can also play with straightening out your bottom leg if you prefer a bit of a deeper twist. So just choose a variation that feels good for your body. With your left leg coming across and maybe getting a gentle stretch into the outer edge of that leg. Make sure both shoulder blades are rooted. And then one or both arms can come out wide to a T or a cactus shape. If it's comfortable, chin can drop over to your left shoulder. Breathe into the compression of your belly. And with each exhale breath, allow yourself to unwind from any stuck sensations of these poses, any stuck situations from before you came onto your mat, or anything that's come up within our time here together. It's really easy to look at these beginnings that we've taken as failures, as frustrations of having to try again. But ultimately, they really are blessings. To shift away from what wasn't working, what wasn't serving us, and to step into what is. To clear out some space, to just be present, to become aware. And truly, one of the best gifts that we can give ourselves is just to simply let go. Slowly start to unwind back through center. Plant your feet to shift your hips back into the middle of your mat. And you can release out any props or blocks. Maybe just shift your knees side to side, or take your knees into your chest, or extend out long. There's no rush to the other side. When you're ready, we'll prepare for the other side of twist. Feet plant, hips will shift over to the right. Take any props you want between your legs, knees towards your chest, and then slowly lower your knees over to the left. Both shoulder blades are rooted. Maybe play with the same variation that you found on the first side. And don't be afraid to make adjustments along the way. But you don't have to get it right the first time. This is an exploration of self and of body, and is really just time to get acquainted with what you need in this moment. I believe that our practice can be this really beautiful pause in our day when we are getting so busy that we're not paying attention to the little things. And it becomes this pause where we recognize if we're holding on to something that's just simply we're keeping us heavy or holding us back. And the pause is where we recognize that, where we choose to let go. We choose to trust that it's okay to start over and to make mistakes. Fall down 7 times and get up 8. And so today, I send gratitude to each of you and to the opportunity to just sit in the pause and unwind what the trajectory of that last path was and start a new one. And I offer you that same space. Gently, you can start to unwind your legs from your twist. Come back up through center. And just listen to your body for what it needs before coming into Shavasana. Whether that's an additional pose, some movement, or stillness. Just take these next few breaths to unwind releasing any final tension so that you can come to a place of rest. Once you have landed in Shavasana, palms face up, and just allow your body to sink in. There is nothing that you need to do in this moment, but simply breathe. For so long, so many of us have relied on our heads to guide us. And so now it's time to make the shift, this great leap into your heart. Can you see how your head gets in the way? How it creates so much noise? The chatter, the limited vision, the judgment, the fear. Can you see how what we've learned to rely on, intellect, assessments, sometimes even logic, can complicate your life? It isn't the head that sees clearly, nor does it always see with love. Often, our minds see with the eyes of fear. The heart sees clearly. It balances the mind and the emotions. It takes what's real and processes it into truth and then into action. Your heart takes all that needs to be done and then draws a map, an itinerary for how to follow that. Your heart can do better because it maps the way in love. Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your heart. It is your connection to people, to the universe, and to yourself. Gently take your hands and interlace your fingers to the webbing. And just gently place your palms over top of your heart, laying down in Shavasana. This mudra or hand gesture, the unshakable, is to create this unbreakable, unshakable trust in self. Even when we don't know the journey, even when it's scary or challenging. To just trust that there will always be a new beginning when we need it. I'll leave you here in Shavasana today. You're welcome to stay as you are, or you can release your hands and take an extra few moments for yourself. But truly, thank you for sharing this last hour with me, and from the bottom and depths of my heart to each and every one of yours, thank you for the pause and the opportunity to start again. Namaste.